The Rattus norvegicus, once considered a foe, now widely considered a friend. Aww, you know they didn't spread that plague all by themselves. That was the fleas. Let's stop it with these false accusations. But hey, the popularity and the rise of pet rats could be possibly due to the hit motion picture Ratatouille. I mean, it certainly impacted me when I was a little chud. This movie had me adopting a plethora of rats and mice way back when. And I loved them. We would chop it up like there was no tomorrow. I'd be like, hey, and they'd be like, ee. In fact, they were so special to me that I would put them in this neat little Barbie horse stable and throw them little rat parties. In fact, here's my rat Remy, God rest his soul in peace, eating a little bit of vanilla cake on his 2nd birthday. Backseat pet drivers, do not come for me. I was like 9 years old. I just know somebody's gonna comment and be like, you deserve to feel the wrath of the pits of the 8th circle of hell for giving that rat cake. It could have killed him instantaneously. But this tangent is all to say that I have credentials as both a rat owner and a Ratatouille fan. And my whole life, those traits have not been useful until right this moment. Because I would receive a DM from a certain author who is quite famous on this channel. Nikki Carreon regulars know all about this. That is, of course, Miss GM Fairy, and she had an offer I simply could not refuse. Hi Nikki, I hope you're doing well. I just released a new book called Romance by the Rat, which is basically about a rat that pulls the hair of a server at a fancy French restaurant and guides him into romancing a lovely lady. Could I send you a copy? No pressure to do anything with it. I just thought you might enjoy. Heart emoji. Quick disclaimer before we get into this, I have a lot of respect for GM Fairy's ability to accept and embrace criticisms for her books. And overall just being like, fuck it, I'm doing my own thing over here. So I genuinely get 0% pleasure from what I'm about to say, which is that Romanced by the Rat is the least that I've ever enjoyed one of her books. Like, reading this had me feeling like I'd rather be forced into watching Kevin Spacey tap dance in Tel Aviv. Romanced by the Rat feels like GM Fairy just wanted to get it over with as soon as possible. Now, the book begins with the typical GM Fairy format. She introduces her characters individually through their point of view in each respective chapter. And all of them are named something very similar to what their actual canon names are in the movies that are being parodied, but of course, not quite exact for, copyright reasons. So in this, we have Ramsey, who is a substitute for Remy, Jeremy, who's supposed to be Linguini, and Charlotte, who is, of course, supposed to be a representative of Colette. However, as always with these videos, for the sake of our sanity, I will be using the OG movie names. So in this universe, Remy, before a rat transformation, of course, is living life as a soldier in the US Army. Remy is filled with testosterone and has like super doomer black-pilled ideas about himself. He's kind of like, oh, nobody thinks I'm hot. I have nothing to lose. Oh God, I'm gonna sign up for a government science experiment and allow them to tamper with my body. And why does Remy think he's unattractive? That is very unclear. Although his physical description is not very detailed, we know that he has sandy blonde hair, he's muscular, and he's in his early 30s. And hey, I definitely did not expect to be greeted with Salinger levels of like beautiful prose and descriptions, but is it too much to ask for some unique features going on? Like, oftentimes what makes characters unique and memorable is, you know, partially due to their design. Hell, even maybe make him like super conventionally unattractive. That would be interesting. But anyways, they inject some hardcore crap into Remy's veins. And next thing he knows, he wakes up as a little blue-gray rat, which of course causes him to start tweaking, and he very quickly is able to run out of this facility and escape through a vent. Genuinely, why the hell was it that easy to escape a facility like this? Well, because they didn't even bother to put him in a cage. Like, these government scientists come out and go, "Where'd Ramsey go?" a man asks. "I recognize him as one of the scientists who administered an IV to me." "Fuck," another man says. "Why didn't we put him in a cage or something? The sedation wasn't supposed to wear off for several hours. I thought we had more time." "Well, obviously you thought wrong, idiot. What do we do now?" Like, hey, wait a minute. Is this your guys' first day on Earth? Like, why do we not know to put a rat in a cage? Let alone a man disguised as a rat. Hey, that seems a little important. Then the scientists proceed to just like mansplain their entire MO in front of Ramsey, or at least when he's in earshot. They say, "Don't get your panties in a twist. It's not a big deal. We were gonna dispose of him anyway. Now we know the transformation is possible. Next round, we'll work on giving subjects the ability to communicate. Then we'll work on a way to change them back." So what? We just let him go? He's a mindless animal, completely transformed. He doesn't even know he used to be human. Let him starve in the vents. Also, guys, I don't mean to be vulgar here, but the one thing about rats that is quite disturbing is the size of their nuts. Like, guys, please don't look this up. Just take my word for it. But let's just say Remy was absolutely dragging his balls all over this facility. Regardless of the nuts situation, though, we then get what feels like an AI overview description of Remy's personality. He says, quote, "Well, that can't be true. I know myself. I remember who I was before being changed into a rat. Ramsey, a quiet, antisocial soldier who lived for his duty. Looks like that devotion led to a bunch of bullshit." That's me. And hey, this problem is definitely not exclusive to this book. I mean, I don't ever like it when there's just a bland character trait dump. Anyways, though, we quickly move on from this whole issue with the scientists and the government and never hear about it ever again. Like, not even really at the end of the book. We don't know crap about this. We don't know the name of the experiment. The only thing that they do say is that this occurred, that like they did this for the sake of espionage. But moving on, one of Remy's first impulses, now that he's turned into a rat, is to eat a worm. So he's like, okay, I gotta get to a restaurant so I don't go slurping one of these things up. And maybe this is just me, but I do feel like there's a little bit of a missing opportunity here to get silly with it. Like, he could have tried to eat a bee or something and got stung and looked like that goddamn dog. Oh man, I love that picture so much. I have it on my fridge. But Remy ends up going into a restaurant called Ratcliffe's French Fine Dining, which he chooses specifically because it shouldn't be too difficult to scrounge together some food in a place like this. Hang on though, what do you mean it should be easy? It says right there that it's fine dining. That's like going, oh, I really think I want to dine and dash. I think I'm gonna try to do it at Nobu. A place like Ratcliffe's should be kind coming out swinging with a net. But in the following chapter, we meet Linguini, who is unfortunately a bodybuilder in this universe. And I find this pretty offensive because it just so clearly goes against biblically accurate Linguini. What is with the twink erasure in romance and erotic books? However, credit where credit's due, GM does follow some of the canon because Linguini is in fact a terribly unimpressive employee here. Not in the sense that he's a terrible chef, but a waiter who spills crap everywhere and could probably very easily get their shoelaces tied together and end up falling over with spaghetti. But he's very disappointed in himself for being a flop waiter because he needs this job in order to afford going to his bodybuilding competitions, which is a plot that I was willing to accept in Love Lies Bleeding, but certainly not in the world of Ratatouille. Anyways, something very confusing was about to happen in this novel. Like, genuinely, nothing could have caused me to predict this. Like, Linguini is describing the restaurant, right? And describing the customers that he's approaching, and says this: "Hi, welcome to Ratcliffe's. What can I get you?" A bald, translucent man stares up at me, scrunching his forehead. "We just sat down. Give us a minute." "Bring us some water, dear," the woman says, shooing me away. "Eno, leave me alone." "Oh my, what? You are so rude for interrupting the video. Who do you think you are? Here's the wild beast. Here's a bullshit with fur right here. Hi. Hello. Sorry, where was I? Linguini responds to this and says, "Right, sorry about that. I never knew if ghosts could eat or drink. Maybe they just like feeling like the living, but it's not the time to ask." I spin on my heels, wanting to get out of this awkward situation. So obviously from this passage, I was like, what in the fucking Halloween town is going on here? And this is when I realized that there was a little detail on the front of this book that I had failed to notice. As you can see on the lower right corner there, it very clearly says a Ghost Light Falls story. And so I was like, okay, what the hell is Ghost Light Falls? Ghost Light Falls is a new shared world series about a beautiful and weird town in the Pacific Northwest where anything can happen and often does. You'll meet cryptids, ghosts, sentient objects, and so much more in books by these amazing authors. Needless to say, there is quite the fucking circus happening in the Ghostlight Falls multiverse, with books like Twiflight, about a woman who falls in love with a man who is also a chicken, called Eggward, or this one, which is called Hello Nurse, which is very clearly an Animaniacs parody. And honestly, I have never seen that show. It might be a tiny bit too far before my time, but this book is for sure continuing the theme of anthropomorphic love interests. But honestly, I'll admit it, there is one book that I am very tempted to read and get back to y'all on with a review that is called Her Wonderful Wonderbell, because apparently it's about a sexy lesbian baseball player from the 1940s who gets transported to the modern day and falls in love with an alt girl. And to that I'm like, okay, my interest is piqued. Like, I really do wish I was reading that one instead of Romanced by the Rat. Anyways though, this is all to say that it is very normal for ghosts and ghouls to be present in the Ghostlight Falls universe and, you know, in this book, which I would argue leaves the following situation, aka a talking rat who controls a waiter via his hair, devoid of very much whimsy. Like, does it really matter? And is it very surprising for anyone that there is a talking rat going around when there's freaking Mexican duendes ordering gelato 3 tables tables away. But before we get into that, I need to talk to you about this week's sponsor, Factor. Fellas, I don't know about you, but I don't want to always have to hire a little chef just so that I can cook a sensible meal. Seriously, every time the clock would strike 6 p.m. and my tummy was rumbling like a damn dog, I was dreading having to call this rodent up. He pulls my hair way too hard. But luckily, I found out that Factor delivers fresh, never frozen food that's ready to eat in just 2 minutes. 2 minutes! Whoa! And it's delivered right to your door. Also, little chef was always trying to feed me some crap loaded with refined seed oils, refined sugars, artificial colors, or sweeteners. But Factor doesn't mess with any of those. Instead, they're packing these meals with a smart balance of carbohydrates, healthy fats, and protein, plus at least 2 vegetables per meal for added nutrient density. The selection on these bad boys feels endless too. Like, screw a Ratatouille. These guys have 100 plus rotating weekly options from meals to salads to breakfasts and shakes. For example, check this out. Tonight I'm eating a shredded chicken taco bowl, and I'm not worried about prep, cleanup, none of that. The only thing that I'm worried about is this rat squeaking around too much. So go to factor75.com right now or click the link in the description and use code Nikki Carreon FDG to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free daily greens. That's code Nikki Carreon FDG at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free daily greens. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Thank you so much, Factor, for sponsoring me. And now back to the video. Moving on, though, the following chapter is from Colette's point of view, who we learn is 21 years old and just, quote, ran away from home to live in Ghostlight Falls. And I'm sorry, I just don't know if we can classify moving to a new town at the age of 21 as running away from home. That does in fact seem relatively normal. And apparently she made enough money to move here via saving up money from birthday cards, graduations, and other holidays. But like, what the hell is up with that? By the time I was 21, I had already worked at Albertsons, which is a grocery store if you don't have that in your town. And I had already been freaking fired from Target.
Everybody have an announcement? I just got fired.
This is just obtuse, because how much money is your grandma putting in your fucking birthday card, bruh? Blah. I digress. Colette is sitting there and she orders a ratatouille, which I am very disappointed and sad to let you know is not made out of pepperonis as I thought it was my entire life. But she ends up, locking eyes with Linguini, and she's like, damn, he's hot, he's hunky. I would like to take a bite out of that. I would like to have sex with him. And this leads her to reveal that she is very sexually inexperienced. Quote, this is the best ratatouille I've ever had. Much better than any of my brief sexual encounters. And then she hears something scurrying around the restaurant. What could it be? Something scurries into the shadows and I jump. Does Ratcliffe's have rats? It should gross me out, but after that bite of what I just had, I'd eat here again even if the rats were the ones making the food. Then, in the following chapters, everything takes incredibly dramatic downhill trend. Like, I was really hanging in there. I was doing okay at this point in the book, but I really do feel like I got a damn crypto rug pull happen to me here. Because Remy notices that Linguini is not good good at being a waiter and sees that there could be potential for him to like seduce Colette. And not only is he interested in helping him with that, he's also turned on by it. Quote, I used to serve in high school and I knew my way around the restaurant. I probably would have stuck with it full time if they provided me with room and board. God, does he need direction? Someone to lead. The thought sends a shiver down my spine and a twitch to my tiny rat penis. Oh yeah, I have a rat penis now. Every man dreams of a bigger dick. Being turned into a rat is too many layers of fucked up. But basically having a micro penis, it's a new level of despair. Okay, proportionally, it's not that small compared to the rest of my body. I have never seen another rat penis in my life, but I imagine mine would be pretty impressive. At least that's what I tell myself, because God, do I need a win. I bet Linguini has a big dick. Wait, why am I thinking about his fleshy member? Well, I don't have a lot to think about as a rat. I'm without modern distractions such as television or mindlessly scrolling on my phone, so now I think of dicks, specifically the blonde, curly-haired waiters. Maybe I want to be him. Maybe I hate him. Maybe something else. You know, I never mind bisexual realness. However, I do not like hearing about a rat dick. I do not. I don't want to hear that. Oh my god, wait. Blah, blah, blah. I hope you heard me because I just realized I wasn't holding my microphone. And I hate to tell you guys, I really hate to say it, but it only gets worse. So the next day, Colette returns to the restaurant in another attempt to talk to Linguini. She's falling for his himbo ways. And while they talk to each other, Remy is up in the rafters watching them through his little beady eyes. And he is not happy with the way Linguini is trying to flirt with her. Because not only does he not know what Pinot Noir is when she orders it, I don't know how to say it. Do I know what it is? Of course. It's that one thing. It's that one, it's soda. Soda.
I drink too much soda pop. Coca-Cola, Diet Pepsi.
No, but he's just a fucking idiot, and he points like finger guns at her as he's backing away to like go to the kitchen and deal with her order. Then when he returns with her drink, he promptly spills it all over her, specifically all over her titties. I mean, come on. And that's the way it goes in these books. But this, of course, leads to yet another very uncomfortable thought from Remy. Linguini freezes, his hand against her breast, with only a wine-soaked napkin and her damp, thin dress separating them. Their eyes meet. The air thickens, and my cock twitches. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know the air was thickening and the cock was twitching. Not only is this causing me to freaking hate Remy the rat at this point, which, you know, should be impossible, given my attachment to the film and my own personal rat, but Linguini is going on my shit list as well, because in the following chapter there is an age reveal on him as well. He's 30 years old. That means this dynamic rat and human duo are two 30-something-year-olds trying to fuck a 21-year-old, which is of course not illegal, but it will send you straight to hell. Good luck with that. But anyways, Remy ends up following Linguini into a storage closet where he confronts him about being a rizless chud. And this rat, you know, coming up to him and screaming about alpha male dating coach crap is not too surprising. It's surprising for all of like 6 seconds, given the aforementioned existence of all sorts of creatures like these sexy animaniacs. That part is absolutely understandable. What is less understandable is the fact that Linguini just takes Remy's word for for this. Like, oh, this rat told me he's exceptionally good at chatting up the ladies, so it must be true. You know, in Ratatouille, the film, it makes sense why Linguini would end up trusting Remy, right? Because he proves his cooking ability in front of him. However, we just straight up do not have that moment here. It's very odd, but I suppose at this point, if you're Linguini and you keep fucking up this badly, quote, would you like the Pinot Narwhal again? When the millennialism, okay? I love the millennials. This is just a poor representation of y'all. This leads to the two of them formulating that classic plan. We are going to hide Remy the rat underneath Linguini's hat. Now, the difference here is that the Linguini in this book does not have a hat, you know, like a chef's hat that has the capacity to hide him. And so he takes a normal baseball hat and cuts a hole in it and inserts mesh inside. And that's where Remy is supposed to crawl and hide. Which leads me to ask, has GM Fairy ever seen an adult rat? Or just seen a picture of one online? Because like genuinely a mouse in a baseball cap would already be big enough to create a weird cancerous looking lump on your head that would be pretty unexplainable. In fact, if we even take a look at this book cover, you can see that this thing is way too big to go under a baseball hat. But who cares, you know, I guess. Why do I care that the author of the rat book about a rat knows what size a rat is? Regardless of the weird head shape that this hat is giving him. And on the way to meet her up, Remy starts cussing him out, bossing him around, and just telling him what to do, which again, unfortunately, turns him on. He does well with direction, never fights me, and calms the moment I give an order. It makes my rat dick hard. This is a real sentence that I had to read, guys. This is when we get into some morally gray areas here, because although this fucker piece of trash is a rat in a rodent body, he's still a man, okay? And guess where he is when Linguini and Colette are having sex? He's in the fucking hat. This is like some third party, like non-con shit that I'm like not even gonna try to like ethically rearrange or like really get on that level, because it's just so fucking ridiculous. Like, I just don't know how serious or problematic that is. But what I do know is that it is the opposite of sexy. Thinking about Linguini having sex with Colette with a rat on his head that has a rat boner is the opposite. Never before in a GM Fairy book have we actually had an anatomically biological animal have a boner. Let that sink in. And then GM might watch this and wonder why I'm not happy. Girl, I'm not happy. I digress. If you're wondering how this is working, Remy is pulling Linguini's hair under the hat and making him touch Colette and do all the right things, you know, like pleasing her, right? And unfortunately, from Linguini's perspective, he's thinking in his head, oh, I wish I had Remy on top of my head pulling the strings when I jerk off. I think we might be going over the line of bestiality here quite a bit, because if you want an animal anywhere near you when you are having sex or jacking off, that is atrocious, okay? Even if I was like mildly, like let's just say I was like mildly horny, I'm telling my cat to get the fuck out of here, dude. Little dude should not be around this. Like that is, it's odd. It's weird. Like get away from me. Quote, Ramsey pulls another strand of hair, bringing up my other hand, grabbing her breast with a kneading motion. We're both in this together. And then I think the worst thing I've ever read in my whole fucking life occurs here. Quote, Colette's moans aren't soft. instead echoing off of the stone walls around us. A small cry comes from above me, meaning his head, and a warm wetness seeps against my scalp. This is fucking crazy. The boner was already too much for me, and now we're here. Not only did it happen, but it happened on his head. You know something's really fucked up if I start turning on my actual like ideals. You know, I love rats, but I'm starting to think like, fuck, like those rats are gonna hate to see us coming, you know, like going like nuclear New York City government on this fucker.
Rats are absolutely going to hate this announcement. But the rats don't run this city. We do.
This is not Ratatouille. Rats are not our friends.
Alas, though, everything goes awry in the next sexual encounter. The cheese slides off the cracker. This shit hits the fan. Because while they're fucking, Colette starts hearing squeaking sounds. Like, ooh, and she's like, what is that? And she initially blows it off. She's like, okay, you know what? I guess these are just some weird sex sounds that he does. But she also takes notice of the fact that he still has his hat on for whatever reason. Like, he is butt naked with just the hat. Sorry, babe, the rat stays on during sex. And from Linguini's point of view, he's thinking, I don't find his furry appearance appealing. I'm not a sicko, but his words, the way he knows what I want without me having to speak, I can't deny, it does something to me. Pause already right there, okay? Because you're meaning to tell me, hey, this is fine because I'm not attracted to the rat physically, only emotionally. So I'm not fucking weird, I'm not crazy. But then Linguini gets down between Colette's legs, right? And she's, you know, reaching down. She wants to like touch his head, touch his hair. Guess what the fuck she knocks off? The hat. And of course, she starts screaming. What is that doing here? Quote, I jerk up, assessing her. She's terrified, bringing her legs onto the counter and pulling into herself. What's wrong? I ask. There's a rat on your head. I pat my uncapped head, realizing she must have knocked off my hat when she reached for my hair. Oh, that's Remy. Don't worry about that. I'm still not thinking clearly. My dick taking all the blood from my head. What? You know there's a rat on your head? She gets on all fours, scooting backwards off the counter. Idiot, Remy says with a sigh. She screams so loud, I'm sure my neighbors will call the police. I grab Remy and place him on the counter, moving toward her. Calm down. He's not really a rat. He's a man trapped in a rat body. She shakes her head, backing towards the door. I knew Ghostlight Falls had some odd occurrences, but this is too much. Colette, wait. He's been helping me. I just like you so much, and so does he. And he's better at words and actions. I just needed some guidance. I think that's a little too much information, buddy. But Colette, trust me, I had big plans for you tonight. You would have appreciated this partnership. Like, ew! Oh my god. She shakes her head. This is too fucking weird. I'm going home. She races towards the front door. Colette! No, wait! I can explain! Bye, Linguini, she says, slamming the door in his face. That's right, Colette, you get out of there. That's weird as fuck. Lots of women might be into rat boys, okay? But not literal rats. She did not sign up for that. These sexual scenarios are very hard to like put my finger on because like they're not funny and they're also not sexy, so like one has to wonder why this is happening at all. And Remy's solution to this, the solution to his sins, is to show up at Colette's door unannounced. So for some reason she actually lets him in and lets him plead his case and ends up feeling bad for him because he's a soldier that's been trapped in a rat's body. Like, if anything, that makes me feel less bad for you. Like, if this was just a sentient rat, it's like, okay, a rat's brain isn't that big. This is a man. This is a full-blown 30-year-old man. Wipe your ass. Stop being a rat, dude. Figure it the fuck out. I don't care what you have to do, just figure it out. Quote, so what? You're Jeremy's best friend and you both take part in luring women into your weird sex fetishes? No, I almost yell, but I quickly soften, realizing this is a logical conclusion. I barely know Jeremy. I've been hiding out at Radcliffe's and watching people. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Genuinely, in what fucking world is this not the freakiest, creepiest thing of all time. The first time I saw you, I could tell you were someone special. Then you kept coming in and I studied you, learning more and more about you than you ever wanted anyone to know. I could never have you, and I accepted that. But when I saw Linguini and you looked at him the way I wished you looked at me, I decided if I couldn't have you, I'd help him. Because above everything, I just wanted you to be happy. Bitch, I know this is a dumb book, but it's like, this is like Colleen Hoover levels of like stalker, creepy male protagonist happening here. And so he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go. You just live your life, okay? I want you to be happy. I'm gonna go live in the rafters and fucking die. And for some reason, this gets Colette like emotional. She's like welling up with tears. And I wrote down, my annotation here is, genuinely, why is she emotional about this? She feels bad for a pervert diddler rat, ? And then in the next chapter, Colette actually forgives Linguini and they end up having sex without Remy. And this is when she realizes that, hang on a minute, the sex actually isn't as good now because the rat's not controlling it. Quote, maybe the rat isn't as weird as I initially thought. I'm sated, I'm satisfied, but I can't help but think that something is missing. And my annotation here is whatever, guy. And so she vocalizes this concern. And Linguini, being a fucking pervert that he is, instantly nods and says, yeah, something's missing. And then they look at each other for a moment and say, let's find that damn rat. And so they have a fucking meeting about how this polycule could work. Remy says, if you guys don't mind me hanging around, I'll be part of this, whatever that looks like. Oh, Remy. Colette leans over, kissing me on my furry cheek. It's the first time someone's touched me with affection in God knows how long. My body heats. It's nice, but it immediately drops a heavy stone in my gut. This is it for me. Soft kisses, awkward cuddles. It will be all I get from them, but it's good enough because they're so damn special. Third wheeling as a rat is fucking crazy work. But then something happens. They feed the little guy Ratatouille, and he wakes up in a couple hours in his human body. Colette and Linguini run in. They discover him naked, in the buff, and they're like shocked. Quote, you ate a bite right before you passed out. Maybe that's the cure. Ratatouille takes away your ratness. But the two of them are like, oh my God, you're a human. We don't know how long you're gonna be a human. We have to have a threesome. And so there Remy is, unbathed, covered in rat oils, and the two of them go to work on him. And once they finish having this crazy threesome, Remy says this: I've always searched for meaning, a purpose. I wanted to lose myself in a cause. The military took it all from me, changing me into something I didn't even know anymore, literally. And yet, even with giving every part of myself, I never felt complete. Now, in this moment, connected to the two people I thought would never be mine, I feel whole. It's ridiculous. What the fuck ever, dude. Dude, what the hell even was that plot? Why are we bringing the military back into it? There's no point to it at all, because, spoiler alert, I think I already said it earlier, that whole thing doesn't get brought up ever again. Like, he's just a human. That's it. This is the end of the book. God, I love you too. I don't even realize it when I say it. My body knows more than my brain will allow, and I tense, hoping the two will ignore it, instead of explaining that it's too soon for such bold statements. But Colette turns to me, looking deep in my eyes. This was too perfect to be anything but love. I fucking love you both. Then the book ends with one last disturbing detail. Remy stays a human, yeah, but he grows a giant rat tail back, and when all three of them have sex together, he uses it to do things, to rub on things and insert in places. I'm fucking done. GM Fairy Girl, I'm so sorry. I am rooting for our enemies to lovers to happen, but this is too much. But with that being said, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. I want to let you know that I am working on the Euphoria episode 2 video right now. So I know everybody's asking about it. It's in the works. I have an assistant that is helping me with the next installment of Shane as well. Of course, the Euphoria video will be out this weekend. And special thanks to my patrons. Thank you, James Quinn, Vic, Bussy, Faith, Bug, Poopfart, Rachel Ackridge, Midnight Panda, Moa Alverson, Hex, Maniac, Mallory, Meggie Ent, Kelly Jacobson, Jin, Wish Me Melly, Martina, Eowid Stana, Bex Dessou, Ryan Spaggy, Willow Saavedra, Bingus420, Jibo, Danny Bug, Rebecca, Kat Cawthon Hill, Kyle Sargent, Salami, Gianna Sorensen, Kurs Palter, Gabrielle Maria Paulo, Charlie Black, Bailey H, Nicholas Catastrophe, Ellie Smurf, Hazel, Ella Bell, Cosmocat Cult, Nikki Slayon, oh I like that one, Carne, Snoozio, Alio, Genitalia, Caitlin Stewart, Kosher Dill, Madge Trash, Maddie B, Boney, Jesse Beamer, Mythiax, Serenade Wright, Moha Babe, K Money, Lucha Dork, Helena Melharts, Clyde Kolinkath, Lane, Cheese Des, Sweet Ichigo Art, Salem, Melina, Coochie Slayer, Adam Bosego, Emily O, Zubab, Mia Martinez, My Own Love Song, No Period, Maroon 5, Gramps, Julia, Vanessa, Maddie, Roof M, No Cantaloupe, Caitlin Payne, Georgie, Stella Enrique, Gollum, Joshi, Anna Stanton, Mackenzie Maddox, Alexandria, Baldur's Babe, Boney, BB, Hudson Cruz, Cersty, Grace Squiggle, Levy Rogers, Zuki E, Dimmy, Wyatillian, Tacky, Casey H, Mary Faye, Popsmats, Joaquin Alatorre, Lauren, Jeremiah, Zayla Bobela, Linton Johnson, Ajax, Kat K, Rachel Stanley, Brooke, Nug, Marley, Kirby, Roy Salgado, and Biocat. Thank you so much. Love you. I'll see you very soon. Bye.